Today's question is all about how do I get characters to cut correctly? And then by characters, we mean text. Well, I have a few tips for you. This is the Creative Crafters podcast. Hi, I'm Bette from Bette's Makes, and this is your questions answered. Now, the biggest key here is making characters cut right is the fact that when you have text, it will cut out exactly as you see it on the screen. So if you had a font that everything matched together, such as analog script, if you took a close look at it, it would cut it out exactly as you see it with the little holes. You would have to use, of course, some transfer paper in order for it to transfer over. But if you used a font such as Alicia Stencil script, you will find that there are little breaks in the letters, making it a true stencil, so it's much easier to control. You still need to use your transfer tape to move it over. Now, if you're concerned about the size, you can improve the size, but to get them to cut right, it's rather a question of the type of font that you're using. Now, getting it to cut right, if it is a very thin font, just think about this, it's going to be really tough to get the little thin letters on the go. I always recommend, of course, thickening everything up just a little bit, and I do that with selecting the text, and of course you want to offset it, but you want the offset to be very small, such as 0.01 or 0.02. So it's just small enough to thicken your font up just a little bit so it's easier to have it cut properly. Now, the biggest challenge, of course, with any text, if you're going to be using it somewhere else, and I suggested transfer paper, is the fact that you have to weed it out. If you're using a darker color of either paper or vinyl to cut out the letters, using the baby powder over top so that it shows the lines makes it a lot easier. If you're using a lighter color, I would suggest using something like a light pad so you can see the lines and how to weed it. Now, the other thing you can do to make the text stand out on a big piece of vinyl or paper, of course, is go back and use that offset so it makes a huge offset all around it, and then you can remove just the offset piece, so you're just looking at the one and you can work your weeding in that way. Now, having it cut properly to me simply means that you want to have a nice sharp blade in order to cut it and the right settings. So there's a couple of things that you can think about making sure that your text cuts right. This has been the Creative Crafters podcast and your questions answered.